It is 10 o'clock on the dot on the west coast of the United States. It is 0600 GMT. This is Seabass After Dark for Thursday the 19th. Can it already be Thursday? It is, and it's already almost over at that. Hello, thank you for joining me. I'm Sebastian. Right here on the dot, starting off the show during the exact minute we were supposed to. I was almost worried we were going to be going up late, but rather than delay and put my phone number here and everything, I'm just going to go ahead and do it live while I'm on the air with you. So let's just apply the name of the show, first of all. Not in Comic Sans, please. Why is Comic Sans the default for that? What kind of sick joke is that supposed to be? Comic Sans is the default font. They're determined not to let Comic Sans freaking die. My God, it needs to die. Comic Sans, I don't know why I have such an aversion to it, but it's just a wretched font in no uncertain terms. Thank you for joining us. What will we talk about tonight? I had a lot of fun doing those game shows last night, but what I need to start with tonight is a matter of very serious import here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my Facebook page. Actually, I'm not going to bring up the Facebook page, but I am going to get a link from there. Do you remember the pants they used to sell? This is after the rapper saggy pants thing had happened, but it's before. I mean, it is before the end of the saggy pants thing, I guess I want to say. What I'm trying to say is there were those pants that were sold at Spencer's for like the extremely, really crazy cool, wannabe cool skater kids, the ravers, the kids who were like differentiating themselves because they were the ravers, right? The ones who wore the candy things all the fucking way up here and the candy necklaces and, you know, their hair down in their face over one part of their face and, you know, like the lip ring. And they had these pants that were like fit them around the waist, but then went, you know, I mean, it was practically the extreme version of bell bottoms, but these were like the extreme version of the baggy pants. These were, and they had chains attached to them, little stupid fake chains and stuff. Anyway, here's a page from Gawker.com. Let me pull up for you this page on Gawker.com, and you can see what I'm talking about, because I'm not sure I'm sorry. This is from somebody who's overweight writing this article. I have many friends who are overweight. It is not bad to be overweight, but no one who can wear skinny jeans wants skinny jeans to go away. Throw your whack skinny jeans down a well because JNCOs are back, baby. I think some hip hop people did wear these as far as, you know, like a piece of like black fashion, if you will. A Chinese investor has invested cash into the believed to be dead JNCO Jeans Corporation. Everyone stand up, hup, hup. The Fader reports, Women's Wear Daily, that the JNCOs, the jeans too big to hold your legs but too small to contain your dopeness, are gearing for a relaunch in 2015. The core collection featured traditional styles, including a knit jean with a slouchy fit. The fashion group has joggers with zip bottoms and a drawstring waist. The Heritage collection, I'm sorry, no half-stepping on the double pant leg. The iconic brand that defined an entire culture in the 90s. I'm sorry, that is bullshit. It did not define the culture of the 90s. Ecstasy and bad grunge music defined the culture of the 90s in this case. But I'm just here to tell you that those jeans, as I told my girlfriend Emma, who's my lesbian girlfriend of many, many, many years, you will pry the skinny jeans off my cold, dead body. And there is no uncertainness about that at all. I am damn sure that, because as I said, as I explained to my friend Emma on Facebook, I missed the skinny jeans the first time. And so I had to, you know, my mom always bought me jeans that were too big. And so ultimately, I was not able. I'm sorry. You're going to have to excuse me just 1 second. Please enjoy some lovely music here while I read this article. Play smooth jazz. I don't know what we're going to play, but I'm going to play some music because I've got to accomplish a task right away, and we'll be back after this. Please stay with me. Please stay with me. Yes, I need this to go back to this. Okay. We'll talk more about the Philip Perea situation as well. We will continue to delve into that. God dang it. I keep pushing things I don't mean to be pushing, and I'm sorry. I know this was not supposed to sort of go. Yeah, blow it at your ass, Siri. I swear to God. This is not going as nearly as well as I thought this broadcast would, but please get the camera off me.
Trying to university changed my life.
And now what?
It set me on a path where I said I can do hard things.
Seriously?
I look myself in the mirror, and I say I'm more today than
Get that off the goddamn screen. Okay. I'm going to get a hold of it. I swear I'm going to get the show off the air, and it's going to be a great show. Anyway, that was devoted to my friend Emma. Let's enjoy some. I want to do another game show. I'm sorry, I just do. Let's do a little bit more of an 80s game show theme. Let's do a Sale of the Century game show. That's exactly what I feel like I want to do. We'll do a little bit of this one with Mark, Betty, and Al, and enjoy this. Shit, I keep hitting the wrong thing.
Players could win a spa with grandfather clock, diamond earrings, or a trip to New York. Then continue a journey towards a fortune in cash and prizes, including this Thunderbird and $50,000 in cash. In total, over $100,000 on Sale of the Century. And now, here's the star of our show, Jim Perry. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Delighted to have you with us. Thank you for joining us for Sale of the Century. Let's welcome back our champion. This is Al Schwartz. Hello, Al. Hi, Jim. How are you again? Congratulations on winning that championship on the last show. We chatted about the nice philosophy of starting your wife off with a smile every day, but what do you do for a living?
I sell to the Navy and Coast Guard exchanges throughout the world. Novelty items, cigarette lighters, or stuffed animals, or such as that.
Sounds like an interesting job.
Very.
Nice to have you back here. Good luck again today.
Thank you.
Here we introduce the challengers. Summer Bartholomew. Hello there, Summer.
This is my favorite part of the game right here. Summer Bartholomew.
This contestant knows what is cooking usually from Minden, Louisiana. Let's welcome Betty Sweet.
Hello there, Betty.
And music concerts right now, usually from Washington, D.C. Say hi to Mark Wagenheim.
Hello there, Mark. White spun a famous tale about the life of a Mark. Along with Henson, Johnny Carson was also inducted. I guess you didn't hear that one, Al. It cost you $5. Sorry about that. Every June 5th, this U.S. state celebrates King Kamehameha Day. Mark, Hawaii does that, and Mark gets...
Of course, it's Hawaii.
In the early 50s, E.B. White spun a famous tale about the life of a Mark. Charlotte's Web. That's the life of the spider Charlotte's Web. It is on Mark the 45, yes. Well, fame game now. We play for control of the fame game.
The fame game.
Players buzz in when you know a famous person. I was born in 1940 in South Dakota. In high school, I was a 3-letter athlete, and in college, I was an A student. I trained as a newscaster at an NBC affiliate in Omaha. Got my first big break covering the civil rights movement in the South. Al.
Tom Brokaw.
Tom Brokaw is right in the championship control of the board.
Awesome.
And now I remember you had 3 shots at it on the last show, and you've got control again. $10 money card where? Something?
Yeah, number 5.
Well, you weren't able to hit a money card, I believe, on the last show, so let's see how you do now. Good luck. Who did finally that right away? He hit the $10 money card. Al just kind of sneaks up to that. We'll have the $10. He sneaks into second place, and we'll sneak a couple of commercial messages.
Yeah, we're going to sleep a couple of commercial messages in there. Anyway, welcome to cBas After Dark. Sorry, things got off to kind of a rough start. That's not typical for me. Usually, I just kind of start going. Tonight, just kind of, ugh. 11 o'clock got here, and I was not ready. So, Doofus, right here. If you'd like to give me a call, by the way, live here on the air, this is the phone number. I thought an arrow would come in handy, so I now have an arrow. This is the telephone number. The show is, of course, called cBas After Dark, and the phone number is, of course, area code 310-776-5867. That spells 776 Coons, don't you know? All right. One of the things I wanted to talk to is actually a pretty serious topic because it's a news story that just happened today. An executive producer of the show Parks and Recreation has been found dead. His name was Harris Whittles. He was 30 years old. It always really worries me when somebody that young ends up showing up dead, and it apparently was a 911 call about a possible overdose. the person's assistant discovered his body. Whittle's assistant, according to the LAPD spokesperson. In addition to executive producing and writing for Parks and Recreation, he appeared on the show in a small role as an animal control employee. I've never watched that show. The show, which has had a 7-season run on NBC, is heading into its series finale on the 24th in this next week. So kind of a weird way to start off with a dead executive producer who died of an overdose in Hollywood. I mean, whatever. I guess I didn't know the guy, so I don't want to make it seem like I'm doing any false mourning, but that's really weird and heartbreaking. Seth Meyers, who I do respect, on Twitter wrote it was a heartbreaking story. Such heartbreaking news about Harris Whittles, a really funny guy. Speaking of the end of shows, I happened to watch something that was the end of a show today. The show I happened to watch the end of was... why can't I say the name of it? Oh, yes, 2.5 Men. Wretched sitcom. I'm sorry. I am qualified to say not much in the world. I'm an expert on radio business and perhaps journalism in general. I did it for 20 years. I don't like saying that. I swore I'd never say it again here on the air, but I did just now. I'm an expert on Star Trek. No question about that. And I think anybody who would like to challenge me is welcome to. But one thing I'm a good expert in as far as consumer, I was never a writer for a sitcom, but I was a sitcom consumer, and I know good ones and I know bad ones. There are good sitcoms and there are bad sitcoms. And I feel like 2.5 Men is a shitty sitcom. It goes from bad to worse to shitty in no uncertain terms. And I feel like that's just really, really irritating. That said, I tried to watch it. I tried to watch it a lot of times through my year in Mexico, and I was not successful. I tried to watch it. It was on the air in Mexico. It was on the air in English in Mexico. However, sorry, I have to do this one thing here. Okay. A million things happening tonight. I'm so sorry. But yes, I watched 2.5 Men in Mexico many times. I watched episodes from the Charlie Sheen era. I watched episodes from the Ashton Kutcher era. I love Ashton Kutcher. But not on 2.5 Men. That show is wretchedly written, and it's just bad. It is so painfully, horribly, wretchedly bad. That I don't even really know, how that came to be a show. And what's really funny about the end of the show is they referenced it. They actually talked a couple of times. I have cat hair or something on my. It's really quite something how they kind of broke the fourth wall a couple of times on that show. I watched. I don't know. I watched, like I say, a few dozen episodes, but it was not any good. The episodes that I watched in Mexico, they were not funny at all. The jokes that were funny that made me laugh, not just laugh, but howl with laughter tonight, were the jokes about kind of breaking the fourth wall. They said, made some kind of thing about, how did you make so much money with such stupid jokes? He's like, I know, it's unbelievable, right? And all three of them stop and turn to the camera and just smile. And it was fucking hilarious. I'm sorry. That was brilliant. I don't know. It was, brilliant on the order of kind of Big Bang Theory brilliant. I didn't think I could be made to laugh a little bit, chuckle, much less howl with laughter by a TV sitcom anymore. I thought those days were pretty much well behind me, with the exception of the Big Bang Theory. That's why I like it. Not because I see myself in Sheldon Cooper, not because it's Trekkie themed oftentimes, and I'm Trekkie themed oftentimes. None of that is the reason I like it. The reason I like it is it makes me laugh. And it doesn't just make me laugh, it makes me howl with organic, true laughter. I am overjoyed and entertained when I watch this show. And by the way, I know many people who are like, ew, Big Bang Theory. If for one reason or another they shit on the Big Bang Theory, fine, it did just re-sign a contract for 3. There's 2 more years after this season is complete. And, it's like the #1 comedy on television, certainly with CBS's top show, you can say what you want about it, but it's clearly, now mainstream does not mean good. I think #1 show was ALF in America for a while. And ALF I find to be like, not perverted, but perverse, like stupid, And that's the way I saw the 2.5 Men show all the way up until tonight's two part, 1 hour long episode that was the season finale. So but I've seen actually reaction to it on Facebook already that says it was shit, it was horrible, and why, and I mean, I agree, 90% of it was, but there was this 10% of the jokes where they break the fourth wall and just kind of stop and look at each other and then smile at the camera, and it's like, dude, that is some funny shit. That is the thing you don't see on television ever, and that's why it was so funny. It was not the predictable Charlie Sheen does a lot of blow jokes, or in particular, woohoo, wine is a one, although they sort of have this alcoholic kind of theme running through. In fact, that's one of the things that does piss me off about the Big Bang Theory is whenever they seem to be hard up for a plot line, they have their nerdy guy get drunk. The guy who doesn't drink gets drunk in some kind of public thing, embarrasses himself, takes off his pants on a stage or whatever, and that's high comedy. Whatever. I guess if it makes that shit doesn't make me laugh, because it's like, I mean, it's a little bit obvious. The reason I didn't like jokes in other sitcoms is because they're very obvious jokes, maybe even jokes that have been told, maybe very old jokes. What I laughed at tonight was the stuff that I was not expecting, that was a surprise, and it was sort of not obvious. It was sort of, it really caught me off guard in a good way, and that's how I like it. We get serious here. We could do more Big Bang Theory, or I mean more Sales of the Century game show stuff. But I kind of wanted to get serious just because, I don't know, I feel like it's important to get this stuff out. We're taking the next couple of days off. I will not be on Friday night. I will be on Saturday night with my partner, Sarah Bell, who does the Fast Food, Junk Food podcast with me. In fact, maybe I'll give you a sneak preview of that. I don't know. I want to give you a sneak preview of that or not, but I guess I will. We will do the American workplace bullying thing here for a minute. This is a person who killed himself on the front area of the Fox News Channel building, the News Corporation building in New York. He killed himself about a month ago. His name is Philip Perea. If you'd like to call, by the way, here's the number on the screen. If you'd like to join in on Google Hangouts with a video, please feel free. If you have the technology and know what you're doing, I understand that's a little bit ambitious. But the fact that anybody watches this live is enormously amusing to me. The fact that anybody would call in, which people do, and the fact that anybody would watch on tape later. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I can't fathom it. I cannot fathom it. I don't even watch it on tape later. So for the most part, like, I'm completely blown away. Anybody gives a shit about what I have to say. But this is also evidenced in the Fast Food, Junk Food podcasts that I do, which we'll watch a bit of toward the end of the show. I just feel like I'm astounded by how much, not just the number of clicks on the videos, but the actual length of time people watch. We've looked into it a little bit on this show. Last night at the very end, we sort of looked at the analytics, and damned if not only are people, watching hours and hours of me across this world, but they're watching for longer than they've ever watched before. It's like triple the length of time people have watched. And that happened right with the Fast Food, Junk Food podcast. By the way, this week, Bacon, we will be premiering the Bacon episode, the Bacon Watch episode of the Fast Food, Junk Food podcast, not tomorrow night, Friday night, the 20th, but Saturday, the 21st. We'll be here live in like an hour and a half hangout afterward. Me and Sarah Bell, Sarah from her home in Oregon, me from the high desert here. It's going to be famous. Famous. It's going to be swimming, I didn't mean we will be famous. I mean, it's going to be a really awesome time, and you should join us. I think we're going to have fast food. I'm certainly going to have some fast food in here, and it'll be roughly at this time, perhaps a half an hour sooner. We'll start at like 10:30. 10:30 Pacific time, 05:30 GMT, and we'll continue on until the end of the time that we'll be here tonight, which is for another 41 minutes. All right, let's get serious. If you have been with me talking about the Philip Perea story, you don't need me to recap much more than I already have. It's a serious story. It highlights the need for mental health awareness. It highlights the need for access to mental health programs. I feel like this guy, had I been able to reach out to him, I felt so close to what this guy has gone through as far as undergoing what it's like to be a workplace bullying victim. I almost said bully. He's the bullying victim. He was bullied. And I believe that's true. He says this now 7-chapter thing with multiple videos per chapter about how he was bullied, sort of covering it extensively to the point of OCD. He admits he has OCD. He says he's under a doctor's care and treated with medication. He also says he has ADHD. Now, the problem with that is that you hear long recordings of meetings he had with the bosses who ultimately fired him. What I feel like is he whips out that ADHD thing really as a kind of obvious and weak excuse. It makes me sad. If I were there in the meeting with him or even listened to it afterward, I'd be like, dude, don't claim say you're sorry you missed this detail on the email. Say you'll read more carefully. Say what you'll do, whatever it takes. But don't say, I have ADHD and I don't notice things sometimes and I don't remember to read emails completely. It's like, no, that's bullshit. That does not fly. You know, even the whole accommodating workplace disability thing, the whole Americans with Disabilities Act and all of that stuff, you know, to its credit, does, I think, good things for the most part. But do not go claiming I have ADHD, therefore I'm incapable of reading emails and following directions from my boss. That's just not going to work. I hate to say it. And I hate to say that does not qualify as bullying, but I really don't think it does. All right, let's go ahead. We're in chapter 2 of this guy's self-proclaimed thing, and we're going to go ahead and watch the next video. Is much shorter, so God bless it will be done by 11:30. It's only 8 minutes or so long. I will chime in via my voice, as I said, but we're going to go ahead and switch the camera to his video series. We never see him, and I would like to know what Philip Perea looked like. At any rate, this is the video we are watching. And by the way, do call 310-776-5867, 310 area code 310-776 Coons 5867. Here we go.
Continuing from 2-1. If you clicked on the wrong chapter by accident, there is a link below to take you back to 2-1, or to the very first installment if you're new to the series. All right, to recap, 2-1 exhibited just how irrational and reactionary my former boss really is, Kathy, the VP of Fox 7 Austin's Creative Services Department. What you haven't heard yet is how Kathy absolutely hates initiative. So we're going to fast forward all the way to April 29th, 2014.
Okay, this is, again, this is what happened to him in the year 2014. I'm going to go back to me just for a second. We'll talk more about it. There's a lot of sort of hyperbole in this. Not hyperbole, but he really is, God, I feel like this is a guy straight out of my own heart. He's very sort of, not flamboyant. What's the word? He's sort of, he's a drama queen in a couple of ways, and the raw, naked truth. And the boss despises initiative. No boss I know truly despises initiative. What bosses hate is initiative that somehow means you didn't do your job in another way, or that somehow created more work and less efficiency overall. Like when initiative causes problems, it's not initiative. Like you think, look, I did all this extra work. Yeah, but you fucked other shit up, or you didn't do what you're supposed to do. And I feel like that's sort of something I would have told poor Philip Perea had he. I still think he was workplace bullied. I think he went through a lot of stuff. They should have been more compassionate for him in some ways, a little bit more understanding. I feel like his immediate boss did kind of pick on him. But then again, there were times when he kind of felt like he had it coming, like he was purposely evasive of questions. Back to poor Philip Perea here. And by the way, here's the number, 310-776-5867. In case you would like to call in and weigh in on what you think of this guy, the stuff that you've seen so far, or if you've heard other things. Back to the video at this time. If I can make it play.
Now, I'm sure most of you remember the whole Donald Sterling Clippers affair, where the NBA commissioner banned the Clippers owner for life. News wanted to jump on this as soon as possible, so instead of a regular 5 p.m. news promotion, we would use a recorded live update. Yes, I know that's an oxymoron. The story was so big that Kathy insisted on writing it herself, and I would edit the promo. It wasn't until after the footage was shot that I noticed one glaring error in the script. It said Donald Sterling was a Clippers coach instead of owner, and it was read by the news talent as scripted, and so I brought this to Kathy's attention.
Conversation.
I know, but what they said was coach, he's an owner.
Oh.
Well,
yeah, they should have caught that.
I'll be taken away.
Have the audio, have it recut it. Have the video, have it recut it.
Okay. Kathy's blame shifting and not taking responsibility isn't very surprising to me. And based on what you've heard, it shouldn't surprise you either.
Okay. All right. Here's the thing. Kathy clearly messed it up. If she was truly the writer of that promo and she insisted that she be the writer of the promo, then yeah, calling Donald Sterling, I don't give a crap about sports ever at all. But in this case, because it's relevant to this story, I'm interested in it. And yeah, if the guy's a coach or the owner, not the coach, he should be identified, right? And if the person who wrote the promo didn't catch it, and the person who read the promo on camera didn't catch it, and the editor catches it, that's a good catch. And I feel like, you know, he's now saying that the boss shifted the blame to the news talent. They were partially responsible. He doesn't seem to want to point the finger at the news talent, the, you know, anchor person, but, you know, they're at least 50%. They don't just have to read that damn script. And this is evidenced by what happened on KTVU, a video we will watch in a little bit here. I do want to bring that out because it's another example of sort of how the anchor should have received more blame and did not. Back to the video.
Which, interestingly enough, management believe I never took responsibility for my mistakes. Also, in news talent's defense, they're so busy concentrating on performance, they sometimes can't read the content they're reciting.
Okay, I mean, here's the thing. I don't buy that. I think that news talent's defense goes up to reading bullshit on the air. And if you see bullshit on the teleprompter, like, you know, if you see stuff that should not be read on the teleprompter, you say, we're having a technical difficulty. You say, we'll be right back. You do anything other than, you know, get it wrong blatantly. If you see it wrong as you're sitting there in the chair while the camera and lights are on you, you have the ability. I believe in football, it's called calling an audible.
Well, I thought I was having a good day, thinking finally, Kathy might see the value I bring to the department by showing initiative and fixing the error the audience would never know about until now. A few hours later, I was so wrong.
Okay, so when I was in the meeting today, I was talking about, you had already left, and she was talking about she could finish up the immunization story that she didn't get to finish yesterday. And so I thought, you know what, I saw that story promoted last night during the following. And so I called and I said, did Philip know that that story wasn't running last night? And he said, yeah, I told him that it was being moved to the fire story. So we ran a promo for a story that wasn't running.
I didn't know that. I know they moved her, but I didn't know that she was not going to be able to finish that.
Okay. Here's something I will say right now. I actually hate it. I had a radio show for a very long time, and I do despise it when I see, in fact, I worked really hard. Excuse me. This is brought to you by Belch Beer. Actually, Code Red Mountain Dew. Delicious. No, but when there's promos for news stories that don't end up on the news, I hate that. That is some bullshit. That is really Bush League. And I worked very hard to make sure, and it happened to me once or twice. I mean, it's not like it never happens. Sometimes stuff gets changed or gets pulled the last second kind of a thing, despite the fact that the promos have already run. But, you know, I think the boss is right in being angry about that incident, because that's one thing that drives me crazy.
Okay, doesn't that seem like it would be a logical question to ask?
Here's back to the video.
Wouldn't that, it's a producer that's been doing topicals or that's been doing this job for so long is, you know, and I said, well, he texted me, he was dropping the speaking story, so you dropped the story that ran.
Yep.
So I just want to hear your side of how that happened.
No, I wasn't aware of it. I thought she was just being sent out to the fire and to cover it. She's doing double duty. I didn't know that she was. I didn't know that story was being dropped.
Okay. What would make you think she would be able to do two stories like that?
Well, it turned out to be nothing. It was just she just got photos. It was just a structural damage, no fatality. So they weren't going to do much with it. So I thought they were doing the immunization story.
Okay. You know, you talk a lot about how experienced you are and how you know, in these things. And when I see something like that happen, I have to wonder how much you're paying attention or following up or following through.
Oh God, I feel like him going. I feel like he's about to say he's got ADHD again.
Made it clear that she was being moved to the breaking news story.
Even though Kathy toned down a bit since the January meeting, she's still as biting as ever in her passive mode. Yes, I screwed up. I felt horrible about it. Kathy getting personal was wholly unnecessary. But for those who like to beat a dead horse...
I don't think she's getting personal. I don't think... I mean, she was talking about him, sort of this pattern of him messing up at his job.
And if you had any question about were they still going to do the immunization story, I didn't have a question when you sent me your dropping the secret story because I couldn't remember who was doing which story. But when you're here in the thick of things and you hear that, would it not occur to you to ask just what does that do to the immunization story?
No, I thought they would have said it was dropped. They never mentioned anything like that. And that's the thing is that I thought.
Okay, and I'll say this: I think that what he said right there is true. You know, the producer of the newscast probably should have said, or the news director, whoever, ought to have said that they're dropping that story. If they're dropping that story, the guy who writes the promo needs to know which story is being dropped.
They're just sending her out to.
Did it not occur to you to ask what that was going to do to the immunization story?
I should have asked.
Okay.
So you can follow me for that. I should have asked. But yeah, like I said, you know, it's sometimes it happens. It's just a mistake on my part. I apologize.
Okay. Wearing sweets in critical time.
All right, now here's the thing. I've been where this guy is right now. You make a mistake. You're in your boss's office going, I'm sorry. I will work harder so that doesn't happen again. You know, I will try harder. I will do more. I'll do whatever it takes, you know. And then the boss comes back with, you know, we're still not done. You've said you're sorry and we're still not done freaking talking about it because we have to be like, well, we're in sweeps right now. And it's really important that you get your job right. We should pride ourselves on being accurate, blah, blah, blah. All that shit we all know, we all agree with. There's no reason to rake anybody over the coals by that point after you've gotten, I'm wrong, I'm sorry, I apologize, and I'll do better next time. But that's kind of what we got here. Let's continue.
And we're promoting the wrong stories on the air.
And I do hate that.
I feel like we already have to manage the production of these promos pretty heavily based off from story selection to copy to everything else. I don't know what else I can do to prevent mistakes like that from happening.
Well, it's one mistake out of how long we've been doing it, 6 months already. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty good record.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, from time to time, these things will happen, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I wish he'd say he'd do better.
You won't think to ask us what happened to the other story they were working on.
I wish he would say he would do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll just ask them. I'll confirm with them again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I hate that.
Like I said, if mistakes happen, I mean, it happened with the coach instead of the owner.
Oh, interesting. He brings that up.
Able to catch that one.
Mm-hmm.
I corrected that.
And she wrote that copy too.
I mean, no one is impervious.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we do our best when we can under the crunch.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what
That's it.
I'll always do better on as far as like verifying.
There you go. Okay, that's what I wanted him to say.
Okay, because I don't know if you realize how much money a primetime spot costs on our air.
Oh God, promos don't cost money.
Time. So you're talking a couple $1,000 at least.
I mean, they cost.
As long we have to make that good to an advertiser if that happens, and there's no way to make good. I just want you to understand how you know.
Okay.
We're like on the third lap of this.
Take that issue. And given all of the discussion and all of the back and forth we do on the 9 o'clock Chronicle, I feel I'm still a little foggy as to how you didn't put didn't have the thought process to ask.
Here's the thing. I feel like a real good boss would probably have let this go by now. I think by this point she sees the end of his career down the line. And so she's making sure this is a bad meeting for him and blah, blah,
What
blah.
that did to her other story if she was going out on a fire.
Because she's still going over it.
Turned out to be nothing.
Okay. Well, as I said, it was a mistake. So, I always try to learn from my mistakes and try to do better. I mean, belaboring the point is not going to change anything.
Wow. Now that is something I'm really surprised he said. I wish more people would say something. You are belaboring an unnecessary point here.
Mm-hmm.
While it was sitting there being berated, I couldn't help think to myself, what a complete ingrate, and that I should have not said anything and let Kathy crash and burn. But true to my character, I wouldn't do that, as it would have made the newscast look bad.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't think that mistake in a promo is going to let anybody crash and burn. That's the thing about the mistake that he feels so good about. It was, you know, we're all on a team. We catch mistakes, we cover for other people, and you know, he did a good job. He shouldn't be making such a big deal about that. He was talking about his boss making mountains out of molehills before, and it seems like he's kind of doing it here too. We should not speak ill of the dead, although I don't really buy that rule. I don't think this guy was a bad guy, and I don't think he was incompetent. I think he was competent. I think he was bullied. I think he was also mentally ill in a pre-existing way. And I think this kind of created a perfect storm of, well, him getting fired, him trying to take it to the media. None of the media can do anything with this, unfortunately. If I was still a broadcast journalist in my old job, and he came to me saying, you've got to report this. Look at what they're doing. I'm sorry, I'm pulling this out of my ass. But, you know, I would have been like, I can't use this. I have, you know, 2 minutes of news time wherein I have to include, you know, national news, local news, weather, traffic, and all of this stuff. You know, I have extremely limited time in my particular capacity. TV newscasts on the local and national level all suffer from the same thing in as far as the amount of time, very limited. The amount of resources, what they should be covering on any given day. This is not something that affects people in a specific way, and kind of an overall way where our media, you know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But I can see no news people that I can even think of that I know or that I know of going, yes, I'll take that story. You know where this belongs? Oddly, is the cable news channels, the channels that do have all of that time to fill every single day, hours and 24 hours worth of news that, you know, we all know, frankly, they cannot do it. And you know, that's why we see endless coverage of missing planes and people talking about psychic this and, you know, using psychics to recover what? Kidnapped kids, missing kids for 20 years, that kind of shit. It's like, excuse me, good Lord. This is more burps than I have burped on this entire show. So enjoy the big Thursday night action. At any rate, let's finish out this video real quick. There's like 30 seconds left, and then we'll do a lot more fun with the rest of the broadcast here. You are watching cBas After Dark. 310-776-COONS is the phone number. 310-776-5869. Back to our video.
And for the record, I went to apologize to the news manager about airing the wrong promo. To my surprise, the news manager said it wasn't that big of a deal. So once again, Kathy berated me over nothing and manufactured a crisis in her mind. And I was the one fired for unprofessional behavior? All right, this concludes the 2-2 installment. The next chapter will cover the immediate supervisor's dishonesty and manipulations that led to my termination. As always, please share and post comments. Feel free to vent similar workplace bullying stories, but remember, employees are also reading as well. Just be honest. And we'll see you for the next installment of the American Workplace Bully. Thank you for watching.
So what you see here is actually what you'd expect to see as far as the comments. The video has already moved on, so I'm not going to get into chapter 3, but the comments are what you expect. You know, just vicious hate all the way around in some cases. In other cases, people kind of siding with Philip, the guy who got fired and killed himself. In other cases, people seeing the HR lady or the I guess news person, the news boss, as a pain, sort of a corporate, whatever, usual corporate boss kind of person. And in that way, I think that's true. And then other people who think that sort of Philip was troubled. And there's the rational people who think he was troubled. There's the people who just, you know, want to call him names and call him batshit crazy and, you know, what a pain in the ass he is and stuff like that. As I said, let's do a lot more fun. I mean, I have lots of stories I've written down that I sort of want to cover. It doesn't feel like I want to do that right now. What I feel like I want to do is either play a game or sort of go around playing news. Like, you know what I want to do? I want to watch. I know what I want to watch. I'm going to switch the camera back to the YouTube screen, and you will watch me dial it up here. You know what? If you know what a sign off is, then you're at least a certain age. What I'm looking for is the KCRA3 sign off. TV stations that broadcast on airwaves, broadcast. I guess I'll go back to me for a second. They broadcast 24 hours a day for the most part now, 7 days a week for the most part now. But in the olden days, stations used to go off the air, sometimes at night, sometimes very late at night. They would just go off for a couple of hours and come back at 5 or 6 in the morning, kind of a thing, sometimes longer. Many stations had a little tape thing that they played at the end of the broadcast day. And very often it was very formal. This is KVOA TV. KVOA TV is owned and operated by Channel 4 Television, a division of H&C Communications, and operates on the assigned VHF Channel 4 with an effective radiative power of 30,000 watts visual and 7,000 watts aural, the maximum authorized by the Federal Communications Commission, Washington, D.C. KVOA TV maintains studios and offices at 209 West Elm Street in Tucson. KVOA TV's studio to transmitter link is KPS 74. KVOA TV also maintains translator stations for our viewers in Casas Adobas, Oro Valley, and portions of the Catalina Foothills area on K64BV, UHF Channel 64. KVOA TV is an affiliate of the National Broadcasting Company. KVOA TV now concludes another broadcast day. We thank you for watching and hope you'll join us again tomorrow. And now, the staff and management at KVOA TV bid you good night and good morning. That was the actual thing. I swear to God, I was so fascinated by that. I mean, this is before I was ever even in broadcasting. I was fascinated by it for a couple of reasons. Again, number one is you hear shit that you never hear at any other time during the television's broadcast day. If you know a certain station, you maybe know a lot about it. And you maybe even know where the studios are or which network it's affiliated with. That one's kind of a gimme. But you don't know the effective radiative power of the TV station necessarily. These days you can look it up on Google, I guess. But certainly in those olden days, you found out a lot about the TV station in this little 2-minute thing where they're wrapping up kind of their broadcast day. And each station did it differently. And for anybody who's a sucker for the trappings of broadcasting, like, it's tremendous stuff. When it's done well, it's done beautifully. And it's very cool. And it's sort of very local. It is not something you'll see in another. The one in Tucson is not one you'll see in Sacramento. The one in Sacramento is not one you'll see in Wichita. The one in Wichita you see is not the one you'll see in Hoboken or whatever. This one is from KCRA 3, Sacramento. And I do want to share it with you because it might be my favorite. The casualness in the guy's voice absolutely astounds me. I really find this to be very beautiful. It starts off with something called High Flight. And it's kind of this poem. It's a poem by blah, 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 and narrated by so-and-so, William Conrad, right? And it's cool, but it goes on and on. It goes on for like 5 minutes. The part I want to show you is at the end here. I mean, look how weird and retro this is, right? Birds flying. And by the way, not birds flying in slow motion. That's regular speed. All right, we're getting to the good part, I promise. All right, here we go. This next thing is the thing I'm talking about right here. Check this out, right here.
Well, this completes Channel 3's broadcasting day. KCRA-TV in Sacramento, California is owned and operated by Kelly Broadcasting Company with studios and offices located at 310 10th Street in Sacramento. KCRA-TV is an affiliate of the National Broadcasting Company, and Channel 3 transmits from California's tallest structure, the 2,000-foot tower located 1.5 miles northeast of Walnut Grove, with 100,000 watts of video power as authorized by the Federal Communications Commission. Portions of today's broadcasting schedule have been presented complete or in part by mechanical reproduction. Have a good night and a good morning.
Yeah, a lot of them did that good night, good morning thing. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Here's the part I like the best, though. Right here. Starting here. Dun, 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 dun.
Portions of today's broadcasting schedule have been presented complete or in part by mechanical reproduction.
God, the classicness of that line. Think about that for a second. Portions of the broadcast day have been recreated, either complete or in part, by mechanical reproduction. Like, no shit, right? Stuff's on videotape, but they actually felt a need to state that. And, you know, somebody who wrote that down, typed it up, revised it, edited it, it got all the way through the process. I find that stuff so retro. And there are other ones that are very cool too. Is there the one from KABC that includes sort of the like commentary thing by one of the like local city officials? KABC sign off. Let's see if we can't find it. I found it. Badass. All right. We're going to enjoy another one of these from KABC Television, Los Angeles. You are watching CBAS After Dark. If you want to chime in the last 15 minutes here, we can do whatever you want to. I'm going to probably just play around on this. We'll probably play a little bit more of a video or game show coming up here. Let's look at this, though. I want to switch back to the KABC sign off and check this baby out. This is so much fun. Recorded sometime in 85, 86, according to that slate there. Again, this is 6 minutes long. I don't want to do the whole thing, but...
And now, a Channel 7 editorial.
I just love it. It's so...
1 out of every 125 children born this year will show signs of fetal alcohol effects. And 1 out of every 175 will suffer from the...
Yes, fetal alcohol syndrome.
If you agree, contact both your city council and legislative representative. Ask their support in warning the public of unnecessary dangers of FAS. I'm John Severino. We'd appreciate your comments.
I love also that part. Did you see that? I'm going to back it up. Where he sort of stops, looks at the camera, then looks off camera and kind of grimaces right there.
Channel 7, KABC TV Los Angeles, owned by American Broadcasting Companies Incorporated, with studios and executive offices at ABC Television Center. KABC TV operates on Channel 7 by the authority of the Federal Communications Commission. Be with us this morning on Channel 7 when we return to the air at 5 a.m. with Mechanical Universe. In the meantime, we invite you to tune to KABC Talk Radio 79 on your AM dial, or for music, tune to KLOS 95.5 on your FM dial. Now at the playing of our national anthem, this is Dean Weber, bidding you a good morning for the entire staff of KABC TV.
God, just so classic and like weird. Oh, here we go. Okay, back to it for a sec because it actually shows, I think, part of that high flight thing we saw in the KCRA one. Let's watch. Yeah, it does. This actually does play the high flight thing. And then I really like this version of the national anthem too. It's you know, you can see how it is, kind of zoom ins on photos and stuff like that. And there are even comments on these things that, you know, explain like which production company made this version of the national anthem and which other stations it was used on and stuff. These people who like lived through this and produced this, or, you know, just sort of ran it on their particular TV station, all know this stuff still. And they all comment. This account that the LA sign off, the KABC sign off was actually sign offs guy. So he actually a guy on YouTube who does nothing but specialize in sign offs. I love it. He's got the 1,385 videos, and I bet I could probably spend hours and hours doing nothing but looking at just his stuff, much less other TV opens and closes. I'm a big geek about that kind of thing. I'm also, for that matter, a huge, what do I want to say? I'm kind of a sucker for all the trappings of original AM radio because I did that for so long as well. All right, let's find something else fun to do here. I feel like a game show is a good thing, but I don't know what kind of game show. Oh, I know. Maybe I want to do like I kind of want to do Seinfeld bloopers because I thought of that earlier. But what if? Oh man, the big bucks press your luck scandal is also a really great one to do. But let's do the funniest game show answers of all time, and entertain ourselves the last 10 minutes or so with some of this. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
How to install a new washing machine.
And I'm not going to watch the Lowe's ad. Thank you. But while I'm switching over to it, we can enjoy a brief moment of me screwing around on the device. Here we go. And now here are the funniest game show answers of all time.
Pregnant.
September.
What was that? I missed that first one. It's okay.
To name something you wouldn't try even once. Matthew.
Sex on a train.
Sex on a train. No! Funnily enough, our survey people didn't come up with that one.
Something a burglar would not want to see when he breaks into a house. Rob.
Naked grandma.
Naked, huh?
Real or fictional? Name a famous Willie. Willie the Pooh?
Hi, Kathy. You know John?
Yes, we do.
Doesn't she have pretty nipples? Pretty dimples there, Jim?
Gentlemen, tell me, what is your favorite part of our newlywed game set? Jim?
Probably wife number 2.
Wow. Can't believe you said that shit.
Name a piece of clothing wives buy for their husbands.
Halter tops.
Edgar.
Fish love? Sorry.
Jenny.
Wish list.
Name something you feel before you buy it.
Excited.
A vegetable you marinate.
Grapes.
Name something you might buy that could turn out to be phony. Yeah, a horse. The dreaded phony horse. Something that can kill a lively party. A gun.
A gun could kill a lively party.
Musical instrument.
Drone.
Name something you might accidentally leave on all night. Yes.
Your shoes.
Name something people take with them to the beach.
Turkey.
The first thing you buy in a supermarket.
Turkey.
Food often stuffed.
Turkey.
Describe these words that begin with the letters S-T-A. Go.
Oh, no,
Ask 100 people to name a game you can play in bed. Steve.
I Spy.
Ice.
Something you squeeze.
Peanut butter.
How the fuck do you squeeze peanut butter? I don't understand. All right. I wanted to do just a little bit of that just because that was fun. But I have some things to wrap up with. We're wrapping up the week here. It's Thursday night. I'll head into Friday. I did a show last Friday, to be honest, because I'm still trying to figure out which nights of the week I'm doing this and which ones I'm not. But I can't believe the number of views I'm getting. It's insane. Maybe we'll look at analytics some more come. But do join us Saturday night. I will actually show a quick clip of the Bacon episode of my other show that we're doing here. Let's just show you briefly the Bacon episode of the Fast Food Junk Food Podcast. Here it is.
And I'm Sebastian. Welcome back. Can you believe we're back again?
these two talked enough about freaking fast food and junk food. Why do we need to keep talking more? Because there's actually more to talk about, believe it or not. We have a lot of news, but this week it's a specialty week. What's our topic this week? Bacon! It's my favorite magical part of the magical pig, as Homer Simpson once put it. Do you prefer bacon, ham, or pork?
I think
That's not even a fair question, because that's obviously not the correct. I mean, pork is kind of an all-encompassing term, as Sarah will successfully point out. If you want to see more news about bacon, all the latest bacon news in our little presentation of it. Also, I believe we play our new game, What Did I Just Eat? Which is basically a kind of a teasy name, but we eat kind of new versions of products that have been around for a long time. Every product seems to have all kind of new flavors and versions and stuff, and it's really tripping me out. So I figure whether it's like tropical Skittles or, you know, like the caramel flavored hot chocolate, which is divine, or, you know, the one, I think the candy we chose to eat in this upcoming episode is actually a French vanilla Milky Way bar. French vanilla, never done it before, but I'll give you a clue. It's goddamn good. All right, so that's be said. And by the way, Sarah will be here on the call as well, and you can talk to both of us if you want. It'll be the same number, or you can simply dial in on Google Plus in the Hangouts and join us on camera and on microphone there if you like. Finally, as we wrap things up for this week, I want to talk a little bit about the Big Bang Theory. I talked a little bit about it before. I find it really interesting that, well, what happened tonight. Tonight was a new episode of the Big Bang Theory on CBS. It's, as I said before, I'm really blown away that this show continues to make me laugh, like really seriously. But, and I've said this before as well, very many of the shows I treasure don't just make me laugh. They make me think hard, and they usually often have the side effect at times of making me both laugh and cry at the same time. Now, I'm laughing because it's funny or clever or whatever, as reasons you usually laugh. But I'm usually moved or touched emotionally, or somehow otherwise just sort of the tears come out and I can't help it. Even if they're tears of joy or tears of happiness, you know, at times when shows are written really well, I have this kind of emotional, visceral reaction. Visceral is not the right word, I don't think. But God, it's just, I mean, it's profound. It happened to me when I watched Sports Night by Aaron Sorkin. It's happened to me at times during the sitcom Benson, if you remember Benson from way back. It never happened on Seinfeld. Seinfeld never did me a kind of lovey, touchy, emotional crying shit. And that was on purpose, as I found out later. But what happened tonight on The Big Bang Theory, back in November of 2014, the actress who played Wolowitz's mom died actually in real life of cancer. It was a pretty short battle, I think, from the sound of it. Like she'd been diagnosed and within a few months or maybe a year she was dead. Susie Ann, oh God, I'm going to mess it up because I don't know the name of the actress who played it. I'm going to look it up really fast right before we go here. But they wrote it in the show finally. The new episode tonight is the one in which Howard's mom, I mean, spoiler alert, turn it off now if you don't want to be spoiled. But Howard's mom had suddenly apparently up and moved to Florida, and Stuart is staying in the house where Wolowitz used to live with his mom. And anyway, what is the name? Wolowitz's mom. Wolowitz's mom dies. There we go. Carol Ann Susie, that was her name, the actress's name. And we almost never saw her. If what we saw, I mean, what we saw of her may not have actually been the voice actress who does the voice. It's always off camera. We have had two glimpses of her. Once when she kind of crossed a kitchen door, and she apparently looked like a very large woman. And then the other time was when they had the actual wedding for Howard and his Bernadette. And the Google satellite, the Google Earth satellite, was going to be over Southern California at this particular time. So they decided to do it on the roof of their building, and their wedding photo would be a Google Earth photo if you zoomed in really far, kind of a thing. A pretty cool idea. And they did this thing where you see it from the roof and they zoom out to get the world, kind of a thing. And about a couple of frames of that zoom out, you see a very large woman sitting with like an umbrella or a large hat over off to the side. And it was just a couple of quick frames of it, but it was the voice was unmistakable, obviously. And Many people have made the sort of observation that the girl who plays his wife kind of does a very similar yelling Jewishy sounding voice, and should just like replace the actress. But I think it's much better that they went ahead and had this happen, because you know, a sitcom only goes so far in making people laugh. And like I said, this sitcom makes me laugh more than any other. But for them to do sort of an emotional, touching thing, and they did a little send-off to her at the end. Actually, they were doing a send-off to Howard's mom, but it seemed to be more of kind of a veiled send-off for the actual actress kind of thing, where they do two birds with one stone. Very, very touching episode. The date today is the 20th of February, in case you're watching this in the future and you need to know which episode is he talking about? What date was that? That was when it was a brand new broadcast, 7 p.m. tonight. Last night now. I guess not quite last night. We still have one more hour of Thursday left on the West Coast of the United States. It is time for me to get out of here. That's not all I had prepared. I had a lot more prepared. We'll get to it Saturday night with Sarah Bell here, this very same place, or we will get to it on Sunday night when I return to CBAS After Dark. Thank you for joining us. Give me a call, send me a text or a tweet. Facebook message, anything you like. I'm here. I'm pretty reachable. And yeah, the job search continues, but I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm already over my time. It's 12:01. No, it's 11:01 p.m. So we got to go. Join us next time for CBAS After Dark. Good night.